It's round 3.
And take 50. Mercury in retrograde. Let's find out what happens this time. Hello. Welcome back for another... Welcome back for another exciting episode of So There Was This Guy, where the bedroom is the classroom. I'm your host, Psychotherapist Jordana del Feld, and today we are at home in Berlin with the lovely, maybe this was what scared it. Maybe it was the business card the first time. Anyway, here we are at home in Berlin with the lovely Allia Sadeghipour. Is it still working? It's still working.
It's still going, okay. I thought it was the last name. That wouldn't be the first time it's happened.
No, I just can't handle it. Anyway, hello.
Hi, Jordana. Hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up?
Allia is a fabulous pirate queen and a wonderful wordsmith. I love wordsmiths. They speak to me. You make me laugh, you make me emote, you are a wonderful public speaker. I wish I could have come to your class.
Thank you.
Hopefully there will be more.
Of course.
Anyway, here. I'll just hold
Okay,
this.
hold on, let me grab it. Okay, is this... Mom, it's a microphone. It's a microphone, just so you know. I'm sorry.
No, you're hello there.
Hi, hello.
Hello. Please. I could go on all day, but how about you tell us a little bit about who the heck you are? What the heck are you doing here?
I wish that was an easier question, but yeah, okay.
Tell us about what's on your card.
Yeah, sure. So there you go. There's my card. There you go, right there. So that's my blog. So that's where I post everything, my blogs, my publications. If I have any performances or workshops coming up, it's all linked to that weird thing right there. What it means is entirely up to you. I will not tell people what it means.
All right.
Yeah.
There will be a link in the
There you go.
description below.
But so I'm here because I decided to move to Berlin to pursue creative writing. I know, it's fantastic. But so I was back in California. I was back in Los Angeles doing the adult thing that was expected of me, right? Like the 9-to-5 job, the working at the community college, apartment by the beach, car, all this kind of stuff. All the stuff that looks really good on paper,
So adult.
It is very adult. Oh my God. Paying taxes. Oh God. Quinoa. Oh, but
Kombucha.
no, I couldn't do kombucha.
You drew the line at kombucha. She drew the line.
I drew it. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I'm sorry.
That's why you had to leave California.
I had to, yeah. With the kombucha wave, I was like, okay, this is not for me. Goodbye, California. And that was it. That's true. Yeah. It's true. But yeah, so I was doing that for a long time, and then realized I was really unhappy. Even though on paper, right, and my bank account would hypothetically say otherwise, whatever. Money is, forget the capitalist system, it's ruining all of us. But anyway, so I decided to kind of sit with myself and figure out why I was unhappy, and I realized that it was because I was denying a huge component of myself, which was the writing, right? Ever since I was little, I remember writing and telling stories and drawing and doing creative things, and it was funny because I even met up with a friend who I knew in middle school, and she was telling me, she's like, yeah, I thought you were crazy because I would come over to your house and there would just be writing on every single surface you could write on. And then she realized it's because I ran out of paper and I just couldn't stop and I kept going. So I always had this kind of fuel and desire to write and tell stories. So for me, if I was to turn to my parents and be like, guess what? I'm going to write poems and books, and maybe I'll be successful and maybe I'll make money or not, but I don't care about money. For them, it was just exactly, and granted, of course, my parents are very supportive of what I do now, and their concern was mainly can you take care of yourself? So because of that, I denied that part of myself for a long time. So I was like, I wrote for fun. It was like a hobby. Yeah, exactly. It was a hobby that you do in your free time. And then the rest of my time was spent trying to get my education, which coincidentally continued to push me in that direction, even though I didn't anticipate it. So I went to Humboldt State University in Northern California, ended up getting my degree in English with an area of emphasis teaching English as a second language. I actually didn't think further than that. I didn't realize that like there was no intention of like, oh, I'm going to use this in a different country. Just like, this is what was interesting, and I went with it. And then, moved back down south and ended up getting my master's in literature and writing studies.
How do these things happen?
It's so weird. It's just so strange. Yeah, there's no pattern here at all. No, patterns don't exist. No way. Yeah, all right. But yeah, so then after doing that, and then, you know, I had a very big pivotal moment breaking up with my ex, which we will get to. We'll get there. And then I decided, okay, well, I have to prove to myself that I am successful, that I can do these things. And yet again, my idea of success was connected to stability and finance. So then that's where I ended up working at like community colleges and living near the beach and living in Long Beach and doing all this kind of stuff. And then that's when I came full circle and realized, like, you're doing this stuff, you can do it. In this vein, you are successful, but you're not happy. So how about you honor yourself and give yourself an opportunity to do something you've denied for a really, really long time.
Damn, that was so ballsy.
It was so scary, though. It was so scary.
I know.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, right? Like, we were just talking about this. Like, nothing is scarier than realizing, like, oh, my whole life is in 2 suitcases, and now I'm just going to move to another country where, like, I also didn't know anybody. Like, I didn't know anybody moving here. I don't have family here. I don't have friends here. You know, I lived in a hotel in Pankau for, like, a couple weeks. Like, just gonna do it, you know, and it was beautiful though, because once I told my mom that, and my sisters, and actually almost everybody in my family, my mom's immediate reaction to me was, okay, you have to, like it was that was it, like, you just have to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for your mom.
Right? Yeah. Like yeah, she's fucking awesome. But yeah. So and that was it. And of course, my father was also supportive. Yeah.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's how we're lucky enough to have her here today.
Yeah.
So, leading question.
Yes.
I hear you have so there was this guy story for us.
I do have a so there was this guy story. Right. And it starts with a guy and then goes to a guy and a gal, and then it goes to me alone. But not in a bad way, like in a good way. Like
yeah, we need like different words to describe it, because let's get in the way, like, let's say me by myself.
Yeah.
Because it has different connotations.
Yeah, I agree. Because alone has like this kind of like set, like, oh, I'm so alone. No one. But that's not true. Like, yes, I'm alone, but I'm also surrounded by love, and I have a network of people that love me. So I don't actually feel alone. So yeah, myself is probably, yeah, exactly. Okay. So there was this guy. So there was this guy. Yeah, there was this guy that I was with for almost 9 years.
You didn't mention that. Wow.
Oh yeah.
9 years.
Yeah. Almost 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah. So for most of my 20s, I met him when I was like 18. So I feel like I might need to give a little bit of backstory. It's a little bit of a long story, but
I'll just bring my purple smoke machine.
I was like, oh, right, okay. Now just imagine me looking the exact same, but like maybe 10 pounds heavier and a really horrible haircut, just like horrible, like bangs, like me, like just imagine that, like. Right. So I was working at Hollywood Video. So for those of you in the United States who might be of a younger generation, a long time ago, before Netflix, we had to rent videos from a video store. I know. Yeah, and the videos came on discs, and these giant, they look like black bricks.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Sounds very archaic.
It is very, very archaic, especially when those evil human beings did not rewind the tapes before returning them. Oh my gosh. And, oh God. So I used to work at this video store. Luckily the German audiences get this because they still have them here, right? So you understand, Video Center. yeah, I was working at this video store, and that's how I met this guy, right? He will remain nameless, but that's how I met him. So before working at this video store, what people kind of need to understand is I had a really hard time with body image and self-worth. So when I was like in middle school, I was really, really heavily picked on. Like I was called tons of names. I was like chubby, but I wasn't actually chubby. I just kind of had boobs and a butt. Like I hit puberty before everybody else. And then when you hit puberty before everybody else, you just look bigger than everybody. Like it just...
Was everyone else a wasp by any chance?
Yeah, they were.
What do you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right, yeah, and they're all named Brittany, and Brittany. Like it's just, yeah, exactly.
Mine were all named Melissa and Jessica, but same thing.
Yeah.
I think they were also named Brittany.
Right, yeah. It's always them. But yeah, so
Let me just make sure the
yeah.
little red light is. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. I know. So, but yeah, so I had a lot of issues, like body image issues, right? Like I, as I said, like I had hair on my body. Like I was darker, so my hair apparently seemed more noticeable. I had boobs. I had my period. I had curves. Like. Yeah, and they always made fun of me. They always called me like fat or hairy, and like when I was in middle school, they thought I was like so hairy that they called me the Beast from the Middle East. Oh no, it's okay. They were assholes. It's fine. It's okay.
There's a special place in
I know, right? Yeah, it's cool. It's cool, you know. And it's all context, right? Because I come here or I go to France and women don't shave anything and I feel like I'm a home. I'm like, thank God. Like, yes, you know. It's all context, right? Okay. But nonetheless, that stuck with me, right? So like what happened to me in middle school and being made fun of, in my brain went, you're ugly, you're not attractive. Like that's how it kind of clicked in my brain. And then I just kind of left it. And I didn't really pursue any of that kind of stuff further. Like I never tried to really hit on people or date people. I never saw myself as being attractive. And then in high school, like I dated some people, but I never felt like I could really connect with them. It always felt a little detached. I recognize a lot of it was also probably my own issue, right? My own self-worth. And then essentially I just kind of like isolated from that whole realm, the whole realm of like dating and courting and all that. I was just like, and just kind of pushed against it and just kind of did my own thing. So when I graduated high school and started working at this video store, the guy that I fell madly in love with was of course the first guy that I thought in my brain found me attractive. So he was like one of the first guys that like started flirting with me and hitting on me. And in my brain, I finally went like, wow, I found one that thinks I'm pretty and attractive. Wow, one of them does exist, right? Of course, having not realized, like, stupid, there were a bunch of other people too, but you just, you didn't see it or you weren't, so then that's how I ended up connecting with him, right? So we were flirting a lot. It was like getting along really well. As I said, I would like just turned 18. And then of course I was just completely infatuated in love. And he kind of became the center of my everything. Like anything he wanted, I tried to do. Like, I remember driving down to San Diego, I think at like 8 or 9 in the evening to buy this shirt for a band that he really liked just because I knew he really liked this band and I wanted to give him this thing. And it was like a 3-hour round trip down to San Diego and back just for this one thing, right? So I'm also very much a person, they always talk about like the 5 love languages, right? I'm not very vocal, you know what I mean? I'm not necessarily going to tell you every single day, I love you and you're gorgeous, but okay, unless you're my lady friends, because you're all freaking gorgeous. I'll tell you, that's true. But yeah, I'm not very vocal. I'm more action-based. So I will physically show you that. I will give you a present. I will be there when you need me to show up. Like I'm more of that kind of a person, right?
I dig it.
Yeah. Well, right. Yeah. Which unfortunately has also backfired because some people don't get that. So, for example, dating here, I'm not very vocal. I'm not going to tell you what my emotions are unless you ask me. Like, I'm not going to do these things. So I've actually had quite a few issues dating people here because they'll say like, I just don't understand you. What do you feel? What do you want? What are you thinking? I'm like, a lot of things, but you didn't ask me any of those things, so I'm not going to tell you those things. Like, I'm not, but anyway, okay, the slight tangent. So madly in love with this guy, super, super infatuated. And then in the first 2 years were also great. Like, you know, it was the first couple times where I was like, wow, sex feels good. This is a pleasant thing. Hey, right, yeah. Like prior to that, I mean, I remember losing my virginity at the age of 18, and it was like, it was on my to-do list. Traveling Europe, like that's what it was. I was like doing this backpacking trip in Europe. Yeah, that's what it was like. It was like, see the Eiffel Tower, drink beer in Germany, lose virginity, see Greek islands. Like it was just something like that where I was like, gotta get this Band-Aid off. Okay, cool. Like, yeah. So for me, that's what it was. Like my first experiences of sex were, this is the thing, got it done. Okay, good. All right, now take a shower. Like that was it, you know? Yeah. So with this guy, it was like, oh my God, this sex feels good and it's enjoyable and I like it, right? So then that's kind of how it all started. So this was also during my 20s, right? So I'm going to community college. I'm about to transfer to Humboldt State University. I'm getting ready for this big change in my life. And before this started to happen, I started recognizing small patterns with him, right? So I interpreted it as, oh, he's really loving and interested in everything I do and super like involved in my life, not realizing that there's a difference between being involved and obsessed. Yeah.
I need a little red flag prop.
Right? Like,
red flag!
Exactly. Just start throwing down the cards. Like, here's one. But I think, especially when it comes to certain types of obsession or abuse, it's not obvious. Like, if it's physical abuse, okay, I suppose it could be more obvious. But if it's like emotional or mental, it's not always as obvious, right? It starts kind of small. So for him, he had a lot of fucking issues. He was like an adopted only child, incredibly kind of self-centered, very narcissistic, very, very spoiled. Like his parents, I mean, up until even when we broke up, his parents would do everything. He would say, I need a car, they'll buy it for him. Like, you know, I want to move here, they'd pay for everything. Like,
so it suddenly makes sense that a girlfriend who would drive to San Diego just to get him a t-shirt is like, perfect.
Exactly.
It all comes clear.
Exactly, right? And in my mind, it was more like, this is what you do for people. You do everything for them, of which I've also learned, right, from this experience as well, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so like it started as like little things like like what would be a good example of this? Like I'm texting with someone and he's like, oh, who are you texting?
Why does he need to know?
Exactly. But like, exactly, like little things like that. And of course, in my mind, I was like, yeah, it's just my mom. Oh yeah, I'm just talking to my sister. Yeah. And then of course, even with an example like that, it started transitioning into like, once we started to move in together, if I was even on the phone talking to someone, he would always be hanging out in the same room. And then if I would like leave to go to a different room and continue my conversation, you know, irregardless of who I was talking to, he would then like ask me about it. Like, who were you talking to? What were you talking about? Hey, babe, but he would do it in the guise of like, hey, what were you talking about? Oh, really? Your mom? Oh, you should tell her I say hi. You know, next time you could just hang out in here. I don't mind. Like it was like stuff like that. And then of course it continuously progressed to worse and worse, especially as the relationship got worse. I think he became a lot more controlling because he felt like he was losing control and the relationship was going to shit, you know. Exactly.
Hang on harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Harder.
Exactly, right? Just like, oh, exactly. I can't let you go. Yeah, exactly.
Boy.
Yeah.
But at the time, you were a young whippersnapper.
Yes.
You didn't have accumulated years of Pirate Queen wisdom.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
that they always help, but at least there's something.
Yeah.
This was the first time.
Yeah.
Presumably. And I hope it was the last time for this particular exact situation.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
Because it is fun to make the same mistake many, many times. So
right.
I'm glad that once was enough.
Yeah. So, well, especially, you know, it also depends on how bad a mistake hurts you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, if it hurts bad enough, you kind of realize, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that again. Hopefully.
Right,
yeah.
so here was this guy, and he have control over, sounds like, all of your social and emotional boundaries, if I can posit that.
Yeah, precisely.
I'm going to posit that.
Yeah.
Dude, and as he felt more and more not in control, it just squills more and more.
Yeah.
If you're willing to say, outside of the relationship, what was going on in the rest of his life that may have contributed to this feeling of not in controlness?
Nothing.
Well,
and that's exactly why. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a whole lot of nothing. He was an individual that kept trying to get a job and then couldn't hold on to it for more than 3 months. Kept trying to go to school and then would stop going to classes. Kept trying to do things and then not doing it.
So that would be why he had to be like, I got this one thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
So there you were, getting squoze into a vice-like vice of viciness. I'm just... And now you're sitting here in my fabulous apartment in Berlin, and we love being immigrants, and this story is in the past, and you're like gorgeous and fabulous, and everything is, in this new phase of evolution. So what happened in between Mr. So?
Yeah.
How'd that phone call with your mom go? And now, like, this is stuff.
Yeah. The end bit gets interesting. So we were like together for almost 9 years. When I was younger, I thought like this was going to be the guy that I was going to marry. Like, right? Like
one does think like that, especially when one is young.
Right? Yeah. And when you're so into it, and also like I was working my ass off, right? So I was like going to school. That's also what was very frustrating, right? He could barely hold his job for 3 months, and here I was working 40 plus hours a week in a managerial position. My 2 days off from 10 to 10. I'm at school, like. So I also like, I don't have time for your shit, like like I don't have time for that. I am setting up what I thought was our life. Of course, it was really my life that I was setting up, and you know what I mean. But yeah, so we were together for a long time, and I'd say right around year 5. Year 5 is when it totally hit, and I went, this ain't gonna work. This is not gonna work. Something's wrong. Clearly, it's not gonna work. Yet again, still not quite understanding what, right? Recognize my own naivete in a lot of ways. But I also recognize that I was incredibly fucking stubborn. So stuff was not working at year 5. And for the next 4 years, I kept going and kept trying to fix it and fix it and fix it and push it and do these things and do these things and do these things, right, to make it better. Yeah. And I kept trying to change, and I kept trying to do things, and he would not. He just always stayed the same, which is yet again something I realized, where it's like, you should never expect someone else to change. If you want to be with someone, if you love a person, love them as they are. Do not expect to be like, oh, and then one day they'll get it together, because they might not. And that's not fair for you. That's also not a fair expectation to put on another person. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, for 4 years, I kept trying and doing all these things.
I get it. It's so tempting to do so. I've done it myself.
Right, yeah.
I love you. You're perfect. Now change.
Right? Yeah.
Just like, you would be so much happier if you were more like I want you to be. We would be so much happier if you were more like I want you to be.
Yeah.
And it's easy to see the ghost of potential in people and just try to cultivate it.
Exactly.
Try to hone it and make it come out. So that's the answer to, wow, 4 more years after already seeing the writing on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. And then also in these 4 years, it was also like, as I said, like, so I'm still getting degrees, so I'm still working on things. I've now found myself in an educational situation, like getting my master's, where I was like, wow, people value my ideas. Wow, they're helping my creativity grow. Wow, I'm making connections with people that are not part of our old friend circle that he knows. You know what I mean? So I'm also starting to identify who I am again. Like, oh, this is who I am. And this is what people value. And people value me. Like, I mean something, you know. And what I was also realizing during this time too was I'm not 100% straight.
Important to know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what? I don't really see necessarily gender unless people identify it. What I see are human beings. And that's why for me, it's really important to talk to someone and connect with someone, because I don't care about this. What I care about is what's in here. Like, who are you? And then I also recognize...
Which is a much more important question, by the way. That is the question.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I started recognizing like that about myself, which yet again, upon reflection, I realized like ever since I was a kid, I was like this. It's so strange how we just like deny parts of ourselves or just kind of forget things that we always were. I don't know.
It can take a long time. Sometimes it doesn't even ever happen, but like,
yeah.
Oh wait, that thing that I always knew.
Yeah.
It can take so long to just get rid of the stuff that we add on and like get back to who we were.
Yeah.
Or have always been. Like, I think a real education should be seen as a subtractive process.
Yeah.
You know, like you acquire a lot of stuff and then you have to get rid of all of it. Right? Like,
yeah.
We gotta. So there you are, finally getting back to you.
Yeah.
Which I hope will be an ongoing process that takes you the rest of your life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I know. I'm a big advocate that like, yeah, you never stop growing. And when you think you do, you're not. Like, you're not done yet. You know, like, yeah, you're not. Yeah, exactly.
When you're like, I got this, that's when it's like, okay, now we're ready to begin.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the starting line.
Yeah.
So there you are, realizing that sexuality is a spectrum.
Yeah.
And that the human being is potentially, and should be, the most important thing.
Yes, which causes, unfortunately, a lot of problems when you are with an individual who is very, constrictive and controlling and has a very specific idea of who they assume you to be.
Sounds very fear-based.
He is, he was very fear-based.
And not very growth-oriented.
Yeah, exactly.
So he probably found this incredibly attractive of you. Like, oh, so different, how wonderful. But at the same time, so different, how scary.
Yeah, it was mainly, I think for him, in his interpretation, it was so different, so scary, because in his brain, it was like, so different, so scary, and if you are queer, then you're just gonna have sex with anybody and everyone. Like, a complete fucking, like, messed up perspective of what it means to be on a spectrum, right? Like, just... It's like the same misassumption people make about like bisexuals. Well, if you're bisexual, you could just fuck both people and you just have freedom of it. Like, it's the whole world is your restaurant. I'm like, that's disgusting. We don't like no. Like, we don't go to this like human buffet and just go like vaginas and dicks and vaginas and dicks, like or alternatives. Like we don't like. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm going in for seconds.
So
Yeah.
you were with this guy who is sounding less and less like a shoe that fits your growing, well, we'll call it a foot.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll just stick with feet for now. Like, talking about spectrums of interest, let's get away from feet now. But yeah. So exactly, and it started to become this moment of me growing and me getting better. It felt very much. I'll never forget this, because I was having a conversation with my best friend, and I was talking to her about this, saying like, "Hey, I don't think this is working. I think we need to break up, and I'm scared because it would admit that I'm wrong." There might be, right? Like, it would admit that I spent 9 years in this relationship, and at the end trying to fix it, realizing that it didn't work, that I'm wrong,
So you're wrong, so what?
Exactly.
You cannot blame yourself for not already knowing something that you hadn't learned yet.
Exactly. Yeah. I know, it's like, damn, wisdom. Yeah. So, and then I was, I'm talking to my best friend about this, and we're talking about this, and we're talking about the last couple of years realizing that this is not going to work, right? So last 4 years were my stubbornness of making it work, and then the last 2 years got really bad. The last 2 years, we knew we were going to break up. We fought every single day. We had not been intimate or had sex for at least a year and a half.
Ooh.
And we were living together.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's two stubborn people.
Yeah, like there would even be nights where, there would even be nights where we were not sleeping in the same bed, where I'd wake up and he was sleeping on the couch and I was sleeping in the bed, or vice, just so many red flags of like, this is done, be done,
It can be hard to let go of something that's familiar and embrace something unfamiliar.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a whole nother conversation, but yeah.
Yeah, well, and I think it's also difficult too to break up with someone when you have when they're very deeply embedded in your life and you have a history. You know what I mean? Like my friend group, we're also his friends now too. And then actually after the breakup, I lost all of them. I lost all of my friends because they all sided with him and my ex-girlfriend. So everything the last couple of years just kept getting progressively worse. No sex, not sleeping next to each other, a lot of fighting. He started to get from emotionally abusive, like really emotionally abusive. Like how could you ever fucking survive without it? You're never going to succeed. Like badgering me with things, and those types of phrases. And then it started to get bad. So then it started to get to points where we would get into fights and he wouldn't throw things at me. He would throw them next to me.
Now, by things, do you mean things like words or things like things?
Objects?
Things like objects.
Things like objects.
Oh.
Yes. So, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And you allowed this to happen more than once. It's okay.
Yeah, I
We've
did.
all done things.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I let it happen for a couple of years. That leveled for a couple of years. Yeah, wow. I did.
Stubborn. Hang on to the thing. Try to make it work.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, try harder.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very much like the pit bull thing that they always say in psychology, right? Where it's like they attack 1 minute and then... I love pit bulls, by the way. I don't like this term in psychology, but this is what they say. Where they attack 1 minute and it hurts, and then a minute, and then for the next couple of days they're fine. They're like, hey, I'm sorry, I love you, I'm doing nice things for you. And then there's another attack, and then so that was also part of it too. It was a combination of stubbornness as well as that, but he's nice most of the other times, right? So in the last, right? Yeah, exactly, right?
I know that pattern.
Right? You're like, oh, you're so good today.
They're a mixed bag. They're not always
exactly.
Sometimes something awesome. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. What we started to do is we started to talk about these kinds of, we started to talk about more. We started talking about okay, well, what the hell is the future going to be? What the hell's going on? My other thing is you're not pulling your weight.
Clearly,
you don't have
any room.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, that was a big thing. Is I want an actual partner, someone who can stand on their own 2 feet, and we are actual equals. We are not equals right now, And then my best friend had I think a party at her house, and that's where I met the lady who became my girlfriend. So we're at this party at her house, and I see this gorgeous redheaded spirit of a person, just
sounds amazing.
Yeah, no, she was, and she still is actually. Yeah, and I just remember seeing hair and then energy and whoa, that's amazing. And it had been so long since I also felt that way towards another person, after so much of being beaten down. And I talked to her, and we really connected. And then that night we went home with my boyfriend, and I kind of brought up the question of well, hey, I'm kind of queer maybe, and I'm kind of okay with loving a couple of people. I'm okay with this. I don't have issues with this.
That was quite ballsy of you to say to this guy, by the way, given what you've told us about him.
Yeah, well, yeah, and interestingly enough, his response was, woo, I could have sex with 2 women. So
hey.
yeah. So for him, I don't think it fully registered as oh, that's what it is. For him, I think he just saw it as woo, more sex.
Yay!
Okay, good. So I think he saw it as a fulfillment of more sexual needs. I saw it as a fulfillment of connection with a person, an emotional connection. You know what I mean? So we decided, okay, we're gonna open our relationship to this person, and then we all started kind of dating each other, and we would her and I would go on a date. My boyfriend and her would go on a date. We'd go on a date together. And then things started to shift. And this is where I kind of realized that my dynamic with him, it got a little bit better, and then it just went back to normal, right? The same emotional thing, this kind of thing. And then his dynamic with her was also way more powerful and intimate than anything that we had had. Yeah. And that's where I started to realize, I'm like, okay, he doesn't love me the same way he loves her, obviously. He doesn't feel connected to me the same way he feels connected to her. He also started spending more time with her, even though we didn't necessarily agree on that. So that was also a big issue. If you're ever in an open relationship or a polyamorous relationship, like there's a reason why there's rules, and it's not because there are rules to polyamory. There's because you're being conscientious of everybody's feelings, right? And everybody's needs. Like that's where it comes from. So then when I would turn to him and be like, hey, look, I really want to spend time with just you this weekend, he would make something up and then like end up going and hanging out with her. So there were a lot of issues. And the other thing that people have to understand is during this time when we were all dating, this is when I was getting my master's. So I was at like my high level of stress. And I also was horribly, horribly injured in a roller derby accident where I hurt my coccyx, so my tailbone, and I dislocated both my hips. So this was like probably one of the lowest points in my life, where I remember laying on the ground, not being able to move, because that's how messed up I was. Like I could not move. The only position I could be in was laying and standing sometimes, and then computer's gonna do a thing. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, it was like laying and then standing sometimes, and then standing for too long hurt. So I remember like laying there on the floor trying to talk to him about like, hey, if you go this weekend, no, like this is too much for me. I need your fucking help. Like I need your help here. Like I can't fucking go to the bathroom by myself. I can't, so I'm in this state of like intense pain, intense vulnerability. And then that's where all of his true colors really came out, and it hit me, and I went, I don't deserve someone like this. Like, this is not someone I should be with. Like, in this moment where I need help, and it's also very difficult for me to ever ask for help, and I'm asking for it, and this person's not helping me, and I'm literally laying on the ground where they're going and, fucking my girlfriend. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then that's where I was like, no, I'm done. I am fucking done. So then I started to slowly put my feelers out there, because I was also very worried. I was very, very concerned that if I said, hey, we're going to break up, I'm going to move, that he was going to turn abusive.
Turn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even more so, right? Yeah. And I remember even before dating, this woman, that we would have conversations about that. I'm like, hey, we're not happy. Why don't we just break up? And he would say things like, well, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself. Or if you leave me, I'm going to, this cat that I had adopted for him because he was lonely. He's like, if you leave, I'm gonna take the cat to the vet or the pound and put her down because I can't stand to see her. She'll remind me of you. Side note, I stole the cat. She lives with me now in Berlin. She's very happy. She's doing fantastic. I was like, how dare you try and hurt an animal? So I was like, I was scared, and I was worried that it was going to blow up. And also, to further complicate things, at this point, we were also living with his parents because he did not generate any income, and I was in the process of getting my master's and working, so I couldn't afford to live in the area that we were living. So we were like living with his parents at the time, right? So it's just shit after just piled on and piled on and piled on. And and then as I said, I remember laying there and thinking, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And the solidifying moment for me, the thing that really okay, good for you, move on, was this post on Instagram. Good old social media. So there was this post on Instagram where they got like matching tattoos. It was so perfect. It was like the weekend before I was like in pain and he had left. And then the weekend after I get this same thing. I was like, hey, please don't leave. I need help. Okay, bye. And then he left. And then, and then I see this thing on Instagram where they got tattoos. And I'm like, note to self, do you really want to be with a human being that randomly tattoos themselves to this person they met a couple months ago? No, that's embarrassing. We are done now. Like no. So I made that call, and I think really, really early the next morning, they all showed up. And you also have to understand, this is a shitty side of me, right? So I also kind of did this because I knew that he could not come down because he was back in LA with my girlfriend, and they were going to celebrate his birthday, and I was supposed to come up the next day, and I knew that was going to be my ticket out. That is the only way I could get out, was that timing. So I recognized the shittiness of being like, peace out on your birthday, fuck you. But like, on the other hand, it guaranteed my safety. I knew I could get out, So I packed up as much as I could. My mom and my stepdad showed up. My best friend showed up. His oh my gosh, his parents were like kind of hysterical, like, what's going on, what's happening? And I just had to explain to his mom, because I didn't want to blacklist him for his whole family. That's his business. But I was like, you should talk to your son. Like that's kind of all I kept saying is, you should talk to your son. And of course, because I appreciated and respected his parents. They were good freaking people. They did really amazing things to help me. You know what I mean? Like letting me stay in their house and things like that. So I was like, you can talk to your son about this. So moved everything out. I took as much as I could. Granted, there were some things left behind that I couldn't take. Like I had a collection of like old video games from when I had been growing up. I had like various collections of things that I had to leave. But that's okay, because these are just objects. And in the process, I got, to where I am now. I got this amazing cat. That is the most precious thing I've ever met in my life. That is also the most laid back cat I've ever had. Like, this little thing was stuck in a little carrier for 18 hours, like getting over here, and she was fine. We lived in a hotel together. She was fine.
This is actually a dog.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's amazing. Like,
she sounds amazing.
She is. But yeah. And then that's what happened. And then I ended up living with my parents for a couple months, right, while I was trying to fix myself.
Presumably, you broke up with your girlfriend too. So, were there like 2 separate breakups required, or was like one blanket one enough?
So I broke up with him, and then it was also really shitty because we had been together for 9 years. My girlfriend and I had only been together for like 9 months or so. And he refused to talk to me. He just would not talk to me after 9 years of us being together. And then once he found out that I like moved out, and I was like, hey, we're done. He didn't drive down right away. He like took his time. Then he kind of showed up at my parents' house in like the evening, not like super late or anything, but in the evening. And all he did was he just came up to me. He's like, is this your decision?
Yeah.
Fine. And then don't ever talk to me again. Don't ever talk to my family again. Don't you dare send any messages or emails to us. Don't you dare ever, like, I never want to see your face again, and I fucking hate you. Like, and that was it. Like, and that is all I have heard from him since. And that was like 4 years ago. That was the last I have heard from this person that I spent 9 years with, that I thought I was going to marry. Like, that was it. And then on the other hand, my girlfriend, or my ex, she was a little more, that was difficult. That was difficult because we did feel like connected, right? But yeah, I ended up also breaking up with her because she didn't want to break up with him, and I can't be in that. Like, I cannot be connected to that person. So then we broke up, and her and I kind of went back and forth a little bit, where there were a lot of moments of, her saying to me, like, well, I really loved you, and I really connected with you, and me saying, like, yeah, I can't, like, no, I can't,
It's one of those I love you, but I love me more moments.
Exactly. And for me, this is what I need. And
to be able to say that.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. But yeah. So that's what ended up happening there. And then I decided, like, after that, because I had been with this person for so long, I felt the need to prove to myself, like, can you survive on your own? can you do it? So then that's when I ended up moving to Los Angeles and doing the adult thing and getting the job and the car and this. And I recognize a lot of that was to prove to myself, look,
did you ever?
Yeah, you know, like, yeah, you can do it. You can stand up on your own feet.
You're a professor.
Yeah. I'm an AP. I'm an associate professor. I'm not. I don't know. It's a title thing. But thank you.
In college.
Yeah, I taught people things. You know. But yeah, and then I did that, and then I mean, granted, the other thing too in those 3 years was not only me proving to myself, but also me recognizing that like I had a lot of baggage. You know what I mean? Like I was going through 9 years of abuse, and I didn't even know it was abuse.
Oh my God, isn't it amazing how long it can take to notice?
Yeah.
Like, whoa. And
yeah.
Often it can feel like you're the last person to know. Like
yes. Yes, right? And then, like, you're talking to other people, they're like, oh, yeah, we kind of thought so, but we thought you were in love, so, you know, in the family, or people doing things to try and, like, be nice, and you're like, no, you should, next time tell me, okay? Like, please, that would be nice. Yeah, exactly.
That would be the nice thing.
Right? Yeah. But that was also a lot of it, too. Like, when you're going through, and that's why I had to give you my whole backstory, right? So feeling, like, a lot of body issues, then feeling like I could not be loved, then being infatuated with someone, then being infatuated and in love with someone who was abusive. That's like years of mental programming that you have to reprogram. You know what I mean? So like that was also part of the 3 years, was not only proving to myself that I could be an adult and survive, but it was also proving to myself that, hey, you're not damaged. You're a little fucked up, but that's okay. And you can heal. And that was the big thing too. So like having the space and the time, and it took like 3 years to heal. And it would be things like, waking up at 3 a.m. with a panic attack, thinking, oh my God, maybe he's at my window. Like, you know what I mean? Or having to delete things off Facebook because I can't have them find out where I am. Especially because coincidentally, they ended up moving to that same city. So, right. So it was like a lot of reprogramming, and then also doing things to try and reestablish my own sense of self-worth. You know what I mean? Like, you know, go do yoga, feel good, go sit in the sunlight. Don't you remember how much you like the sun? You know what I mean? Like, go listen to the ocean, go meditate, go do these things. Like, try and fix your poor brain that has been so abused, you know? Yeah, thank you. I mean, there's still little things that are like, but for the most part, it's a
lifetime practice.
Exactly. But it's now functioning, right? It's functioning and functional. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, so that's the whole backstory with that, and then the adult thing, and then deciding to move to Berlin and being supported by my family. And as I said, part of the other difficulty of living in Los Angeles and doing the adult thing and reprogramming was also being alone, right? Like I had my family, my mom lived like a couple hours away, then my sister moved to this California and she lived about like an hour or two away. But aside from that, I lost all of my friends, you know what I mean? They all sided with them.
I know what it feels like to lose your friends.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and these are like friends I had known way before him, since high school. You know what I mean? Like we went way, way, way back. And then, and then you see stuff on fucking Facebook where it's like, oh yeah, they just got married and you didn't get invited to their wedding. And oh yeah, your exes just got married. And oh yeah, your exes just now had a baby together. Like you see all this kind of stuff, right? And that was also difficult to be like, yeah, I'm not a part of that. But then on the other side, what's interesting is on the other side, it's also very much helped me solidify who I am today, right? Like, because
you actually stole the words out of my mouth. I was going to say that. There you go.
Yeah, you know, because I don't know, like I look back at that, right? Like I look back at their wedding photos and I look back at like their posts about like, you know, oh, our baby, and this is just our Instagram about our kids and stuff. And I also recognize, I'm like, you know what, self? I never wanted that life anyway. I never wanted to really be married in my 20s. I don't want kids. I didn't really want to have kids. Like I didn't want that life that they had. And then I was like, okay, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I'm okay that it's not losing the friend group. I was just growing away from them. We were on just different life paths. Like that's what they wanted to do with their lives, and that's what makes them happy. but it's not what I want to do with my life, and it wasn't going to make me happy. You know?
Such self-awareness. Oh.
That's years in the process, right? Like,
Yes. So many people don't even do any part of the process. So when someone does, just
thank you.
I would have fed you by now so many little leading prompts and little leading questions and little boundary-causing suggestive prompters, but I haven't needed to because you've done it all yourself. You've been on this journey of self-growth and awareness, and you've been figuring out exactly the kind of questions I would have handed you. And coming to exactly the same kind of moments of self-awareness that I would have hoped for you.
Well, good. Thank you. So I did something right. Okay, cool. Perfect.
Right. And of course, the most important thing you did, something rightish-lessly, was that you did something wrong. That is so important. You have to do something wrong.
Yeah.
You have to do something wrong. Or, wrong. Because
Exactly.
It's not even wrong. It's like, a friend of mine once said, you go out in the world and you do things, and either you win or you learn. And if you learn, you still win because you learned something. So... Yeah.
Exactly. And like, I would never... especially now looking back, like I would never take back those years. I would never be like, oh, I wish I never met this person. Oh, I wish no, because like when I was in my 20s and I was at Humboldt State, I was horribly lonely. I felt so alone because I was so close to my family and they weren't around. And him and my friend group became my family, and we had like great memories and times together. You know what I mean? Like he, luckily he never interfered with my education. Like he always knew like, okay, he couldn't do it, but he knew that it was important for me and that fueled me. You know what I mean? Like there were so many moments where I would not change it or take it back, because if I changed it or took any of it back, I literally would not be sitting here. Like I
know exactly what you mean. You finally come to that moment that we always hope will come, where you're like, thank God because if it weren't for all of this would not be happening. Like, this whole package. So good job, you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. And so to end this story, I have still not heard back from my ex at all.
Just as well.
I know, right? But I interestingly enough did get a Facebook message from the ex-girlfriend. And it was a photo of a teddy bear. And all it said was like, hey, you don't have to respond if you don't want to, that's fine. But look what I found today. And so the teddy bear, when she wasn't around, I had this teddy bear that symbolized her, and she had a septum piercing, so I pierced the teddy bear's nose and I made it look like her. Like that's the thing.
It's your voodoo teddy bear.
It was like a voodoo teddy, exactly. But then when she wasn't around, the teddy bear would go and have like a beer with me, right? And we'd have photos. And that's the message I got like a couple weeks ago, was like, hey, look at what I found.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. And that was it. And that was it. And it was also interesting too, because it also, I think, solidifies how far I've come and how much healing I've gone through, because in opening that message, one, I didn't have a panic attack.
Great.
Right? Two, there was no sense of emotional reaction or investment at all. Like it wasn't like, oh, it was just like, okay. Just peace. And that was it.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Let's hear it for growing. Let's hear it for evolving. Let's hear it for time.
Thank you.
You have grown into the next stage of you. So who knows what's going on? We'll find out. You're writing, you're working, you're reading your stuff all over the city, you're teaching, and awesome.
Thank you.
Now would be a great time to do a little of your own product placement in case people need to see you perform or buy your work or check out your website. You do that again.
Yeah, absolutely. So once more, my name's Allia Sadeghipour. This is thank you. I know. So this is my website. So you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. I have a blog, and all of those have connections to to my publications and readings. So I was recently in a V series poetry anthology about all things V.
All things we have.
Very good.
There are so many.
There are so many, yes. But yeah, so I got all kinds of things.
All right.
Yeah.
Check her out on the stuff on the thing. And find us on the web. Be sure to subscribe. In the link below. There better be a link below.
Down there somewhere.
Yeah. Look me up on Sheen Healing Arts, also in the description. And work with us and discover the healing power of story.
Yeah, totally.
And be sure to tune in next time. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye.